Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to 2.5 Talent. We are back days before the major. It's right on the horizon. Got a new guest as well for today. Unfortunately, Pardon is busy this week, and we want to get an episode out just before the major. So we've recruited in one of the watch party members, Yumi. Thank you for joining us, brother. You can kickstart us. What have you been up to?
Oh, I've just been around. I've been still doing some commentary. Did
Nice.
did Rotterdam not too long ago. Still doing some like online broadcasts. Popped into Epic Land for a good little
Nice.
laugh, and yeah, just kind of getting ready and prep for what the majors get offer us. So yeah,
Tell
I'm
us about
kind of excited.
Rotterdam. How was it? It was the last in person gig aside from the major from ESL this year, right? Everyone right to say?
I think I don't
Yeah.
know unless they have other stuff planned. Yeah, maybe. But yeah, it was good. Not casting with my usual casting partner, so doing with
Yeah.
James
The
Bardoff
mighty
was
Bardolph.
certainly an experience, but he's just another uh tier one talent added to the Infinity Gauntlet of like random people that I've happened to cast with in my
Nice.
career. So
You'd have to say. Who ended up winning? I didn't catch the final. Oh,
outsiders,
fair enough. I
and
kind of
they
feel.
beat Ensign in the final.
Okay. Oh no, I did see that on HLTV cropping up. Okay, well, Trav, what have you been up to? It's been two
Yeah,
weeks, I think. 2 weeks, I think.
it has been 2 weeks. I think. Yeah, I've been pretty quiet for me. I've just been chilling, like trying to look into lots of major stuff. Been trying to get involved with as much content as possible. Yeah, not really a huge amount. Not something exciting like Rotterdam, but yeah, I've been looking forward to doing these little pods because obviously, like just talking about the major and what could
Yeah,
be the biggest
exactly.
event of all time in Counter Strike is super exciting. So yeah, I've done a little few bits and pieces. I mean. I'll have a quick look at my little calendar
Yeah,
over
actually
here.
the same
Yeah,
thing, just to kind of remind
I
myself. It kind
just
of all
double check it.
blurs. Yeah.
Yeah, I've like finished off one of the last like ECL season 42 matches as well, and like
Mm,
and just a few bits and pieces like that. But yeah, for now we're just on major territory, aren't we? 2 days away. So
yeah. I mean, I think CS wise, or anything I've done, I did 2 days of Elisa finals or like playoffs even, which is quarterfinals. Well, actually, I'll touch them actually in a little bit more detail later because they come into my low lights for a very good reason. But did a bit of that, and then I did a bit of the. I was in Copenhagen for the V word, so at the same time as Rotterdam. So that was
I mean, yeah, you keep him busy.
I keep busy. To be fair, it was good. It was working with Blast, and man, those guys are animals of production. They are. I mean, like we kind of talk about kind of the big hitters of production, what the world, the ESLs and whatever. Blast are different gravy. Their production setup is insane. I saw their CS studio that they used for Blast finals, and those guys arrived like Maui and whatnot on the day we flew out. And their studio was so sick as well. Like the whole setup, the whole gaff they've got, it is pretty cool. And Copenhagen's a nice city, so no complaints. But we can get straight into the news. We can go with kind of recent. I don't want to say tier two news because it feels like I'm shitting on some people, but we can start with the kind of the lesser news in terms of course, with the major on the corner. It's not really the most important things, but we'll start with kind of changes that are being made. We already spoke about Apex quite a bit, but recently they've allowed now Shocks to explore some options outside of Apex, and we've already had this conversation, Trav, kind of a few weeks ago about what went wrong with Apex, and we kind of all came to consensus that the pickup of Shocks was not a good one. I think it's probably the best way to put it. It's kind of now a question of where does he go, and with next bit of news that we'll touch on a little bit as well. On top of that, on Falcons benching Maka, a couple of French guys are starting to become free agents. The kind of the quote unquote last dance is starting to open up a little bit.
yeah, it's weird, isn't it? I mean, I know for a fact that Yumi's going to hate any idea when it comes to that, but I think for me it's a shame because Shocks that move to Apex at the time, I mean, I sort of build it in my head as the perfect move, right? He wasn't absolutely botting out in vitality, right? Like, and he was doing fine there for a good period of time. Obviously, probably speaking his own language for a
Yeah.
good period of it. Then Liquid happened, and he was still, winning the odd clutch now and again. You could tell it was a strain on him, though, just
Mm-hmm.
the different aspect of communicating in English and struggling in that sense. And I seemed like he was quite lost in the roles that he was being put
Yeah.
in that
Yeah.
team. And then Apex, I thought, well, this is a pretty significant downgrade. He's got really good players around him, and to be playing in ESEA Advanced and tier two EU tournaments, that seems like a perfect place for him to be. But clearly, they have a disagreement on direction there. I think.
Yeah, and it kind of came as well off the back of them withdrawing from advanced playoffs in the upper bracket,
Yes,
which
they're in the
was
upper bracket. Yeah.
so questionable because like yeah, even if you aren't playing well, in the big scope, they didn't qualify for the major. They were pretty poor actually in the RMRs and the open quals. Um, But like, just see out the season at least, right? You never know what can happen. At least as an org, you can maybe see, offer a fairly decent placement. But Yumi, what are your thoughts on kind of, with this now, Maka being benched, and of course probably on top of that as well, we've got Xtaz from G2 being, well, he's exited, I think, is probably the best way to put it. I think
he chose to leave.
Yeah, he chose to leave, right? A lot of French guys starting to open up. You're not a fan of the French Last Dance?
I mean, I think the idea of having a Last Dance is like, it's a nice idea. You know, I think it would certainly draw a lot of attention. First off, I don't think Maka really qualifies to make it into a Last Dance.
No, definitely not.
But so even naming some of those guys, like, yeah, you're gonna struggle to pull people into a proper roster.
That's it.
And the expectations are just not going to be that high. It'll be like, wow, this is a great marketing tool for the French scene, but if they perform like shit, then do you really have that much to market? Like, it was the same with Imperial. That was the crux people had. It's like, are these guys going to even win anything, or are they just together to tickle our little nostalgia bones? So yeah, I don't really have strong thoughts and opinions of it. I've always thought Shox was going to be in a bit of an awkward spot, because he has to almost go international unless he wants to take that step down to like the Falcons or Heat, like some of the other French players have done.
Question is though, what do Falcons do now? I mean, who do they replace? Because Kyoja's not coming back, if I'm right in saying. I mean, I know he's a sub, but is he actually? I don't think he's actually going to play, right?
I don't think permanently. No, I'm pretty sure that they're going to probably be looking elsewhere. It's a tough one, isn't it? Because Heat are sort of set in their 5, even though they've been performing pretty bad recently. I wouldn't be surprised if they go for some changes. So I think a shuffle between Heat and Falcons would make sense. But I don't know how that would necessarily work, because I'm not sure if, Body necessarily wants to play with some of those Falcons players, for example. Sure. I mean, I don't know. I put out a tweet and I tried to get people talking about it. And I just like putting, aside the past, for example, and just talking about a dream sort of scenario. RPK is retired. So even though I want him back, it's not going to happen. So I said Kenny Shox Apex if he doesn't want to deal with Vitality not winning the major and he wants to go somewhere else, or if he gets kicked. NBK, Haji, Xtaz, and assistant coach analyst. And I was like, I just wanted to add those names for the hell of it. And I do think that I'm being optimistic, thinking that Shox and NBK will play together again.
Yeah.
But names like you say, Mac is a little bit too soon. But you have to go the Imperial route if this sort of thing is to work, in my opinion, right? You need someone like a Cello who is sort of mid-age, has experience, or mid-20s, has experience, but can pop off in the good roles. And I think that someone like Haji could do that. I even think that Amanet could still play pretty well, even at that level. The French Last Dance would probably start at as well. Whether it would be the same as it continued, I don't know. But there are so many names that people threw at me. I mean, they were said like, why would Xtaz go and coach tier 2 because he wants to probably coach tier 1. I completely agree with that, but it's just a sort of how do you say it? As Yumi said, a nostalgia bone tickler maybe.
Yeah, I mean it's a cool idea, but the problem that I see with the French Last Dance is like, who would call? There is no in-game leader that would
Body. Like just nab Body is your only choice.
Well, I think. I had a good decision for one, Alex. He's French speaking, and he is a French raised IGL, and he's just big chilling doing
nobody's picking him up, are they?
Sweet fuck all right now. So I mean, Alex is
I agree.
So I put this on Reddit as well, and I look for Reddit opinions, which isn't always the greatest thing to do. I know that, but some of them were quite funny, some of them were quite amusing as well. So like this guy put one which was like Shox IGL, no, is what I'm gonna say immediately. Maka Orp, even worse. Jack's entry, why would he leave Heat? Kiyashima, Rifler, why are you bringing him back? And then Amanex.
He plays GTA roleplay now. Exactly. He doesn't even play Counter-Strike anymore.
And then some of the and the thing is as well, because I think there's another thing that I don't really know the exact details of it, but from my understanding, the French scene is pretty divided. Like a lot of players don't like each other.
There was the graph, I remember. Someone from Twitter posted a graph, like this guy, like one of those arrow graphs, right? This guy hates this guy. Exactly. This guy refuses to play with this guy. Stuff like that.
It's like a mess, basically.
It's like a drama series, the French scene, I feel like.
But all of the good ones, it seemed like this guy, who obviously seems to have a pretty decent knowledge of the French scene, it was like... He had 2 of them. Yeah, he put up 4 rosters. One was called My Fave, which was that first one, which was just god-awful. The second one was called Implodes in a Month, and the other one was called Implodes Instantly. So, I mean, that really just sums up. But it was like, one of them was Implodes Instantly was MBK IGL, Kenny S Orb, Amanek Entry, Shocks Rifler, RPK Support. You got two retired guys in that team. MBK IGL, I mean, I guess it's fine. And Amanek Entry, Shocks Rifler. But, yeah, it seems like a mess. I don't really think, while the Last Dance, that sounds nice, especially with Xtaz now being a free agent, or I don't know what you call it, as a free coach or whatever, but he doesn't want to go into tier 2, spot on, right? He would rather go and speak English in a tier 1 team than and then try and make a tier 2 French Last Dance, anything of that regard work. But I do
dream. You're trying to put every single piece together that you think would work,
Exactly. But I do think, though, the Xtaz leaving G2 is kind of interesting, because I think it also kind of shows, like, it wasn't a case of, G2 played, that they were shit, so G2 dropped him because maybe, there was a conflict between IGL and coach, which we see all the time. That happens, the coach and the IGL don't get on the same page, and one has to go, and it's the coach. This time it was, he just, he jumped ship, he quit. And I think Yanko put a pretty good tweet as well, saying about how...
I was just looking for it.
Yeah, it's quite important in the way that, like, how he left really, changes the tone of this entire sort of argument, because if it's him jumping ship after one sort of hiccup, because you look towards kind of previous odds, while they weren't, dominating, they weren't, winning trophies all the time, they were still regarded as one of the best teams in the world. Him jumping ship like that, if it is him just quitting because he doesn't believe in the project, then it's like, it's kind of concerning on the other side. But, yeah, there's over those doors, of course. They're not qualifying for the major. My favourite major team, G2. But can't wait to see them in Rio.
Can I just quickly mention those Yanko tweets? I just want to read you this mini thread between him and Nell, right? Obviously, Nell has French bias, so here we go.
Yeah.
So X has decided to leave. Says a lot about G2 IMO, rolling eyes emoji. Yanko, what? It says a lot more about him. Nell, do you really think he's giving up because it's too hard, or because he can't do what he wants to with the team/organization? If you know X has a little bit, I think you know the answer. Yanko, what more does he want to do? How many roster changes are necessary in a year? Nell, from the moment 3 out of 5 players are unkickable, I guess it limits the necessary durable changes. Yanko, yeah, I guess if Cloud9 flops at the major, they should probably consider kicking Shiro and Axile. So, that's a pretty amusing converse there, but you get the point. Yeah. It's one that, until Xtaz explains it himself, we're not going to know.
There's a tale of two bias there, though, because also Yanko is so biased to support Nico.
Of course.
Like, he will do anything. He will die for that man. And then, of course, Nell will die for the French scene. And he kind of dies with the French scene at times as well. So, I don't know. It's quite interesting.
Can I just add in a little bit as well? Like, the idea that he has worked with Alexi B, that apparently him and Alexi maybe didn't see eye to eye, and the management went askew, and Alexi goes to join NIP, and NIP go from being a team on the brink of imploding, changing roles and shifting their star rifler into an AWPer, to then making it into the major, and G2 don't. Like, maybe this is G2, maybe this is like Xtaz looking in the mirror and just going like, huh, maybe I was the problem.
Maybe do you know that one on the moon is like, where like the astronaut pointing at the moon and saying like, you were the problem. Maybe I was the problem. Or like the bad guys one, that meme of the bad guys. Yeah. That's where Xtaz is now kind of realizing. But I don't know. I mean, where does he even go now, right? Because no tier 1 teams are really in need of a coach at the moment. I mean, he's French and English speaking. I don't know about any other languages, but I can't really see any other openings at the moment unless they drop a coach for him. So I feel like we won't see him for a while, which is kind of weird because I feel like he's always been around for such a long time. And now to see him kind of just milling about is sort of different.
Yeah, I don't really know if there's anybody that has that much of an investment in him. Like, I could see maybe teams like I don't know, like a Fnatic or an OG or something like that would maybe want to acquire him, but that is completely dependent on whether they have any issues with their current coach, because for all they know, Xtaz could just be a volatile figure. Like, the idea and some of the narrative around what Xtaz did was that he managed personalities very well on a French-speaking Vitality, where a lot of we were talking about the French scene being a little bit more clicky, and people don't like each other the best. Like, him being able to manage all those personalities and make them into a contender-ish squad, like maybe not taking that next step, it's not even something that's necessary on all these other teams where the as far as I can tell, the coaching dynamic hasn't really been an issue. So
the question is now, on the other side, just to kind of the last touch on this point is, how do you kind of save G2? I actually, again, put this on Reddit just because I like proposing questions just to the general people to see kind of just what the public's opinion are. And I put some question of, with G2 now not making it to the major, do you think there needs to be any changes? Like, and I said, even specifically mentioned, maybe not player-wise, but coaching-wise. And I think the first 3 replies were, fuck off, you're an idiot. And then they dropped the coach. The coach quits. And I was like, I was just suggesting, is there any public opinion? But people were really angry about like
No,
the
it's weird, isn't
around
it?
that. Like I just said, like maybe it's a coaching issue, not a player issue. And people literally replied saying, fuck off, you're an idiot. And I was like, oh, touchy, all right.
I mean, G2 fans are touchy for good reason, I think, at the moment. But yeah, no, I think I actually would necessarily agree with the coach leaving. I think that's the only thing.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that you can blame Hooksy for sure. There's absolutely no doubt about it. His individual performance, and he's the leader.
Mm-hmm.
But such a small amount of time from Alexi to him. Like, I know, a few months that sounds like a lot of time, but it's just plainly not. To figure out a team of that level at that high level as well, which you expect to be. And they just did vaguely okay in Pro League as well. Like, I don't know. It made no sense for a player for me to leave. And I think maybe if G2 wanted to be seen as being proactive and make changes, and they maybe would remove the coach. Maybe once Xtaz has an interview and we finally get to know the full details, he'll say he left because he felt like he wasn't trusted anymore or something like that.
True.
So we'll have to find out. It's all going to come clear when he has his word. But yeah, I don't know. I think for now, G2 as the 5 players should stay for at least another, let's say, two S tier events, and then we'll see.
That's his buffer. Oh, Yumi, what?
I don't think they're gonna last that long. I'll be honest.
Really?
I think
it wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me.
I think after the Blast Full
Another
finals,
IGL kick?
I think they probably just ditch Hooksy. He always, to me, like felt like an interim in-game leader that they didn't want Alexi, so they found one that was a free agent that had the potential to be very hit or miss. I think they have landed on the miss category. And they are going to hunt for whoever is free after the major.
Who is free?
After the Blast Full finals.
I'm trying to think. IGLs are good. IGLs are hard to come by. There's not a lot. I mean, we mentioned Alex earlier. But yeah. I mean, at times Alex is temperamental in terms of his performances. I was gonna have this thought earlier in terms of if you were to pick up another IGL instead of Hooksy, who would it be? And I couldn't come up with a solid suggestion off the top of my head. Then if anyone's got one.
Maybe they try and go for like a Shui, or maybe they try and go for just somebody that makes it effectively the legend stage. Like I imagine they will look at this major with much intent and see if there's an in-game leader that can tickle their fancy, because G2 have that kind of pull in money, so I wouldn't be surprised if that's the route they go.
That's very true. Speaking of pulling money, Endpoint, they've made a new signing, one of which I've got to say personally questionable to me. So Kirby left. We kind of knew this was happening. He stepped down for personal reasons. I'm fully on the side of that he's going to Astralis.
Right.
That's what I'm leaning. Kirby to Astralis. There's no other reason. What is a personal reason? I think it's Yumi's looking puzzled. But no, their replacement for what was kind of experience and I guess stability with Kirby is Heavy God, and I've casted Endpoint now twice in the last 2 weeks. Once in Elisa, and I can't remember the other time. I just don't think he's good enough, at all. I mean, I know it's really hard to base someone off a stand-in, but I just feel like a guy who's absolutely bang average in FPL, and then doesn't really play as a team player, and then hasn't made this team better by any means because they still just lose arguably more than ever. I don't know what you guys' thoughts are, but I mean personally it's a signing where when I saw it got not leaked, when I knew it was happening and I knew it was coming and getting announced in a couple of days, I was quite annoyed with it because I was waiting for Endpoint with this gap over who their fifth is going to be to use Heavy God as a stand-in, see off Elisa because they weren't going to make it to playoffs, they weren't going to make it to the Espo. That was very obvious because they're too shit. But to actually pick up someone decent, because they've had pulling power to be able to do so, or at least invest in some young talent. I don't know. For me, Heavy God, I mean, I know he is young, but I don't think he's good enough. I don't think he's a talent in that sense.
I think Kirby has just kind of messed them around with the probably amount that he was signed for. Probably the highest paid player. I wouldn't be surprised if on the endpoint roster.
For sure, yeah.
And then to sort of bench himself like this, they were hoping that investment would pay off, but instead it's just now kind of dead in the water. So that's awkward in itself. But I do wonder whether this is like a 500 IQ move by Endpoint to start just continuously investing in the Israeli scene, because not only do they have an access point via the major circuit, but it's very likely that with the continued success of Israeli players, there might even be some investment from an Israeli organization to try and get all these players back into their circuit and actually like grow the scene sort of more endemically. So I could see this like maybe 6 to 9 months down the line, because it's very clear they're trying to prop Nerds up to be one of the star players. If they try and merge them together as like a package deal and I guess advertise them to the Israeli scene. So that's the only angle I've really got as a positive. Maybe it's a tactical approach.
I agree with you. I think the only reason Endpoint went for Heavy God is because it was the easy option. He'd already stood in for them. Probably the core of Endpoint were like, okay, yeah, this guy was pretty good. I wasn't too unhappy with him, and just went, yeah, okay, just take him. Well, let's just see how it goes. And I mean, I understand that, but as you so rightly say, it's not inspiring, and it's a shame because I think Endpoint, they're just one like star player alongside Nerds, away from making a major at some point for me, and getting those stickers that they've wanted for a very, very long time. It's a tough one. For example, I like MHL. I think he can do something, especially at the level that Endpoint are playing at. I think he's a very, very good player, but I think maybe they are sort of as you say, sort of grooming the roster to be that sort of Israeli core that could eventually get access via another option. I think Surreal and Mighty Max, it's not like they have a UK core anymore. Now they finally said goodbye to that sort of original core, and finally said goodbye to Crucial as well. So yeah, it's a tough one. I don't know where the direction for Endpoint is now that they've lost Kirby. As you say, I think it has put them into a bit of a rough corner, and the only way they could get out of this corner was to take the easy option, I think.
I was gonna say though, Yumi, when you were kind of setting that one up, talking about this investment towards the Israeli scene, part of me thought you were making out as if Endpoint were just gonna, commit towards ME basically and try and get an easy,
I mean, like they want to sell these guys, bro.
Because if you think about it, if Endpoint pick up they don't even need to pick up one more. With those two, they could technically compete in the Middle East qualifier, because that's what they call GG How did. They only had 2. No, was it 2 or 3? No, they had 3.
Yeah, they had 3.
They had 3.
But only is one standing, getting another Middle East, bring Boros back for just a cheeky stint,
just for the qual,
see him for the qual, then get towards the closed quals. They'll farm
you could do that.
They should.
You could genuinely do that
because they're not making it through EU. Not with this team anyway. I mean, in my personal opinion, I can't see these guys at the moment making it.
How about
EU.
this? Do you want to hear something really out of left field that I've just thought of?
Go on.
Bring Boros back.
Right.
Bring Boros back. Replace Mighty Max. Get one of the other just get someone else to IGL. They're all smart enough to be able to contribute some sort of information. Without Mighty Max, you can easily just farm the the Middle East qualifier, and then bring Mighty Max back in as a sub for the actual major because he's got EU IGLing experience.
God,
there you
go.
Go it.
Really
Blast! I hope you're ready for your open quals, because you can see Endpoint. And the thing is as well, the way the quals work is, for Middle East they play one set of games on Dubai servers and one set on EU servers, so that'll be fine. Ping's not going to be an issue. I mean, one of the qualifiers they might have 100 ping, but we saw teams make it through on that, so it's not really too much of an issue. And then the other one, they have standard 30-40 ping, because I think the servers are in Turkey or whatever, but for them that'll be fine. So there's a world in which that, I mean, obviously, I don't think it's going to happen, but
I'm being cheeky.
That'd be so funny to see Endpoint just ditch UK, just go full Middle East and be like, fuck it, let's just get that easy qualification because they're not making it for EU. But nice ideas there. Nice ideas being thrown out. We can move on, of course, I think, to probably, arguably, the biggest transfer news, but at the same time, the smallest transfer news, because everyone knew it was happening. Device has gone back to Astralis. It was the worst kept secret in Counter-Strike, because we knew after his, I don't know how many months did he play for us? Was it 5 months he played for NIP and then he just sacked it off? It was basically, yeah, like for him, we all knew what he was doing. He was just forcing a roster move. But yeah, it's finally confirmed as of 3 days ago from the time of recording, the 26th. Device is officially returned to the roster. I think a lot of people have said kind of what most people are thinking. This still doesn't just save Astralis by any means. There's a lot of work that needs to be done to this roster. I mean, realistically now, without config, they lack a lot of firepower. Mister, unfortunately for me, hasn't really stepped into the fray. He really hasn't looked that great. So yeah, we see the return of Device, and of course on top of that, they tried to ship off Farlig to Sprout for Stare. They were like, no, thank you, my goats, actually my goats. I love it. But yeah, thoughts. The Device back. I mean, obviously that is what it is. But I mean, for this whole team, Astralis, there's still a lot of work that needs to be done.
Dude, I'm praying on their downfall.
No for real.
I've been preying on their downfall ever since they beat
Preach.
VP in the final of E-League Atlanta 2017. But anyway, yes.
Yeah, no, I just can't be bothered with this whole Device leaves, Device comes back, drama. Like, it honestly comes across so pathetic from both of them.
Agreed.
Like, Astralis were not looking good prior to him leaving. So then when he joins NIP, he's like, talks all this smack about how they got lucky, and there was the NIP circuit, or I guess the internal affairs of running the team, were miles ahead of Astralis, and now 2 years down the line we come crawling back, and it's just or like a year and a bit down the line, and we are back where we started, and it's just, I don't know, man. Like, I'm happy that Device is going to be back on the server, but I also just hope this blows up in their face, because even just from an interrelationship point of view, I think this is a terrible move. And I think that the team is going to be worse for it, because I don't think Farlig is that bad. I simply think that Glaive doesn't know how to call for an AWPer that needs a little bit of direction. If there's a little bit of direction Glaive has to throw in there, he has more frequently taken the AWP away from his AWPers instead of let them play the position that they got signed for.
You can swear, it's fine.
No, I know, but I'm just, there's no need for me to drop like 17 swear words. So yeah, no, I really just, like, in some ways I want BlameF to succeed. I want Glaive to succeed. Zip can go.
Of course.
I want this squad to do all right, because they should be still all right. Like, the players still feasibly are there, but it just feels like the management behind it, either from an in-game leading point of view, or from how Astralis just typically mismanage their players. Like, they're just jeopardizing player careers here at this point.
So, I mean, obviously, when I say short term, I mean, I'm not sure I don't think they have many games short term. Isn't it the first time they're going to be playing properly in like January? Like, they're playing Espu.
No, they're playing Elisa.
They're playing Espu, so that's going to be obvious. What's going to be, they'll be playing with Mister, Zip, and Device, right? And just instead of Farley. That's short term. That's going to be interesting to see how Device plays back on LAN again. Long term, when we see them in a proper S tier event, if we do, maybe in January for like probably the Katowice play-in or something like that, and maybe some Blast stuff. I think I've always said that I think Glaive's time is done. I think it's very obvious that everyone knows that Zip's time is done. But Glaive, I think, probably should go as well for me at this point. And I really think you should be building Blame, Device from there. And if Astralis really still do have pull in like the Danish scene, just yesterday, I mean, Neo, you tweeted it. Device was playing in a mix.
I got the tweet actually ready for it.
In a mix on Faceit against my friend Enisan and Azu from the UK scene. And Azu farmed Device. They won 16-14. And it's just, he was playing with Bubsky, Zyphon, players like that, right? I'm not sure. Buzz. Buzz is a really big one. But Buzz is a big one, and I've actually been an advocate of Buzz being the unknown player. How many people who just watch Tier 1 will never ever know about this guy? But I really think that he is the sort of player that could be an addition to Astralis in the future, that could help them be a star that could play like alongside Blame. If they're going to keep Glaive, go like Blame F, Device, Glaive, Buzz +1.
Yeah.
And maybe if you really want to try, go for like a Zyphon or a Stare. There you go.
The thing is, with Buzz is that I spoke to Dvorborg, ex-Copenhagen Flames, of course, now EG, and he literally said if he was to rebuild Copenhagen Flames with all 5 of those guys going, I think at that time, actually, the only one who was still there was Zyphon, when I did the into this was, but he actually said that Zypher for him had the highest skill ceiling of everyone in that team.
Nico said that as well.
Yeah,
said that too.
they said he's brilliant. He's just young, right? He's just a kid, so like you got a lot of learning to be done.
All three of them are young, aren't they?
Yeah,
on
exactly.
Sprout, Lauenex, Stair, and Zyphon are not even
all 17.
over 20 yet.
Yeah. I think 17 for Zyphon. Oh, Zyphon might actually be 18 now, but I think
18.
Yeah.
And the other two are 17.
Law and X is 17. Stair's 18, I think, and I think Zyphon might be 18 as well. But yeah, kids
17,
basically.
18,
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, Dvorbor was saying that Buzz would be the first choice, 100% every time. Like, Buzz was the guy who he said had the most talent. Like, they've been looking at Buzz for ages anyway. Like even for that Copenhagen Flames team, generally speaking, like even if he stayed on, even if they weren't getting poached by Fnatic and whatnot, Buzz was going to be someone they were considered to bring in regardless. So, I mean, I think that shows how talented he is. I think also the fact that he's maybe playing with these guys as well shows that they also believe that he is someone who can keep us at a level. Still got farmed by my goat Azu, so
exactly.
Really
you can't.
That's on UK on top.
Yeah, UK on top. Yeah,
you can't. Obviously you can't read into the Danish scene just by a face it pug, but realistically the fact they're playing together is enough to say, okay, they know of his existence, this could be something that could happen. Absolutely, no doubt.
That's very common networking strategies that players have. It's like, we'll play a few pugs, we'll see how their comms are, like
see what they're like as a person,
and the device has the experience for it to say, Astralis, hello, I found your guy.
This guy's sick.
Yeah, exactly. I really think that if they're going to keep Glaive, then a team that is, as you say, Buzz +1, maybe Zyphon, maybe Stair, one of the two, if they finally make the call to... I think Sprout, obviously, as you said, Neo, they're fed up of being poached by big and other bigger organisations.
They've got money as well, though. They actually, like, Sprout themselves. They don't need to, like it says, Endpoint, for example, they are a feeder team because, like, they just don't have the money, like, as a roster. So when, someone comes knocking for Flames, like OG, they can't say no to it. But Sprout actually can.
To Liverpool.
Yeah. Sprout actually literally, they can say no. Hence what they did with, obviously, stupid trade of Farlig for Stair. Like, fuck off.
I mean, that's just dumb.
Actually, moronic.
Not even the same roles or anything.
Not the same roles. And Stair is, in terms of skill stealing, worlds ahead of Farlig. So, I mean, that just, to me, was just moronic anyway. And also, I think it just shows this kind of blatant disconnect from Astralis, where they just don't understand, like,
the
how...
price of bread.
Yeah, I think, like, Astralis don't actually understand how bad they are. Like, no one cares about their players, bar Blame F, and of course, Config's now no longer in the conversation, but, Blame F and Config for a long time are basically just tooth and nail dragging this team to success. Anyone else, no one cares. Like, if it's not like, trying to offer trade offers for Zip. He's going to get rejected by tier 2 teams because he's just old. He's done now. Like, unless you're bringing him in for experience, I feel like, for the most part, like Farlig at the same time, they kind of just ruined his stock because, I think if any tier 2 team that wants to be potentially competing tier 1, they kind of see that maybe, Farlig is struggling a little bit, or maybe needs a very specific...
ruined the stock of like 3 players.
I know, yeah. Or maybe need a very, as you mentioned, kind of a very specific IGL to bring it out. And I think an IGL that can micromanage quite well in that sense and do the macro side of things, it's quite hard to come by. I think, Barry Carrigan's a pretty good example of it, but, they're not easy to come by. So, yeah, I mean, it's kind of the Astralis classic. I don't think they understand anything. I know Device did this little tweet kind of thing as well, just to kind of round this one off. He was saying, most of you now seeing I'm no longer part of NIP. I like thank you all for the support, whatever. All this kind of just bullshit, right? It's bollocks. Like, he was just like a child who threw his toys out the pram. I know he obviously had external things that played into it, but most players have something external going on. I mean, not being funny, 4 out of 5 in RV are playing while their family are in a fucking war zone. You got this guy crying about for me, I just think like Device is just really, is time on NIP. The fact that like no one's really spoken about it. I think for NIP they're actually probably quite embarrassed because they couldn't really do anything. Obviously, they can't just force the guy into the server. But then for Device, he kind of just showed his mettle. The second there was a hiccup, he was like, "Well, sub this. Like, I'm just not going to turn up, and I'm just going to wait."
Yeah, only success was IEM Fall, right?
Yeah,
that was the only thing they won. I'm pretty sure.
So
was it IEM Fall or Winter? No, it was Fall, wasn't it?
And Thorin, I can't remember the exact tweet, and I can't bother to scroll because Thorin tweets a hell of a lot, and it would take me quite a while. But Thorin did actually a very good tweet talking about like, I find it quite funny how everyone just kind of avoiding the subject of why did you not play for NIP for like 70% of your time there? What's going on?
Yeah, I fully agree with it.
Yeah, it's like why is no one talking about it? Like I feel like even on the more public side, people should be saying why aren't people pestering like like him or NIP or anybody saying like tell us the truth. Like, what actually happened? Because, like, I mean, we can make assumptions. It's pretty. I feel it's pretty obvious that basically, like, there was like hiccups that came in towards the team, and Device said, "Sod this. Like, I want nothing to do with it," and just refused to show up. And from people I know that are kind of close to Nip, that seemed to be the assumption. Someone I know was saying that like he just refused to come to practice and just refused to play basically, and they kind of just told them, "Get a sub. I'm not playing." Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it kind of shows Device as a person. And then obviously this Astralis side, they're not world beaters or any means, so they're definitely going to go into like everywhere. I mean, if you look at the Elisa lineup as well, teams attending: Miles, Ents, Astralis, Fnatic, Big, Complexity, Game Legion, Heat, Saw. I'd say barring maybe Heat and Saw, every other team there should farm Astralis. And then obviously there's 3 more to be decided, but they're probably going to be pretty bad.
Yeah, but at the same time, Astralis is just confusing, and the scene in general, especially pre-major, even though this will be post-major, like, is confusing. We just saw Astralis beat Vitality and Blast like the other day, again online CS, but like we have to, you know, say it. It's a fact that we have to mention. And obviously Vitality looked weird, but you know, Astralis just had Blame hard carry for like a map or two, didn't they? So that does help, but. Yeah, post-major, I think everyone's going to be all over the place, and I think no one can know really how it works. But obviously, this Astralis that still has Zip and Mister is going nowhere, even with Device for sure.
Yeah, spot on. Well, any final thoughts? You happy to move on from that one?
Yeah, I'm kind of happy to move on as well.
Okay, well, we can go on to kind of a somewhat-ish next topic, talking about just you know what we've got coming on the horizon in 2023. I guess this is quite topical for us as well, because we're talking about the new Pro Tour calendar for ESL that's being released. It's not fully finished just yet, as the information we've been told, but we kick starting things in February of IEM Katowice. You can see that obviously taking over Pro League in Malta, pardon me. We got IEM Spring, unannounced at the location. I'm going to assume maybe America. I know there's definitely seems to be want to be kind of a more kind of NA push coming through. We've got IEM Dallas following in June, Cologne, Malta Pro League again, and IEM 4. And then Challenger League, we've got 4 Challenger League, same as this year. And of course, for us, that's kind of where we'd be hoping to hopefully make an appearance. But yeah, I mean, one of them, sorry, the first one, not actually announced yet. But I think the rumors are for that one, NA, is that they're the rumors. I think there was a couple of locations that were flying around. I think maybe Atlanta was one of them.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, Atlanta's already going to be the last one in December. So Atlanta's confirmed.
Sorry, yes, it is. Yeah.
But the first one, as you said, would be pretty interesting. I like the fact that we've got 2. I mean, Jönköping is not, you know, a very very common esports location, but you know,
just
at least we've got
at
least we exactly. At least we've got like a new one as in Hanover, which is not something we've seen too much before. I'm looking forward to seeing where IEM Spring and Fall are. These events are always particularly exciting. As you say, not necessarily announced on the calendar yet. Go ahead.
Side note, didn't DreamHack announce they were doing something in Tokyo? That's not Challenger, right? They DreamHack was saying they're going to do a DreamHack in Japan. I'm not bluffing.
I mean, that would be cool.
I swear,
yeah,
that
would be cool.
DreamHack.
That'd be cool,
Japan.
but I'm not sure there's going to be a Challenger League there. That's what.
Oh yeah, 2023. Here we go. I thought that's what. I mean,
does it say what the dates are?
TBD.
Okay.
Boys. That'd be sick. Can you imagine?
You never know.
I mean, so most Challenger Leagues are part of a DreamHack, right? I don't know, boys. There's a world. I mean, probably unlikely, but there's definitely a world in which we see it's TBD, venue TBD, but yeah, Japan 2023. And if you look at kind of what we got, well, it won't be Iron Spring. It would have to be April 28th to April 30th for Challenger League 52. I don't know. That'd be sick. I mean, a Japan one would be kind of awesome. I mean, obviously. Can I even name one Japanese player? I don't think so.
I remember the old teams.
Yeah.
I remember the old teams. What was it called? MVP Project was the main one.
MVP was Korean.
South Korean. Oh, sorry, my bad. What was the Japanese one then? I'm thinking
CS:GO
of.
player. Right. Any guesses for the best Japanese CS:GO player?
I'm looking it up right now as well.
I think this was before my time following the Asian scene, so.
Okay. I'm gonna keep scrolling until I find. Oh, I found the what? Okay, coming in at 11th is Rip Pablo Escobar.
Oh, him! Oh, the legend! What a legendary alias that is. It's one of the classics. Whenever anyone posts a tweet about legendary HLTV aliases, they always find that one.
My goat, Rip Pablo Escobar.
Yeah.
He's now a Valorant player.
Oh, there was Scars Absolute. That was the team. Scars that I was thinking of that was Japanese back in the day.
I don't know. I mean, top earning Japanese players for CS:GO: Crow, Boss, Laz.
They are Scars players.
Oh,
Yeah.
Takedge, Writer,
Yeah, Scars and
Poem,
Absolute.
Neff,
Yeah, that makes
Sakura.
sense.
I got like I don't recognize any of them. I only recognize Rip Pablo Escobar because, of course, my goat.
Yeah, what an alias.
What an alias! What an alias! But that was a massive transition, just because I remembered that DreamHack were doing one in Japan.
Yeah,
Japan
can't wait
is
to do it
number
from
one.
Stockholm.
Oh yeah, of course, that will be done in
Of
Stockholm.
course.
I will be on an absolute nightmarish schedule, like Melbourne, where I would start my day. I would wake up at 10:30 p.m. I'd be in the studio for 12 a.m. midnight, and I'd finish my day at 2 p.m. and then sleep. It was my
Nice.
body was taking screenshots and really struggling. I gotta say, but yeah.
Sorry, looking at the calendar and looking at all this, I swear they were saying that the Pro League conference was going to be like a couple weeks or like maybe
Yes.
maximum like a month before ESL Pro League, and I noticed that's like a very visible omission from this.
I think that's one of the things they said they need to add, and two, I think they may be, because they've already confirmed they want to add it to like very close to the beginning of the actual Pro League season, right? So
I think it's
maybe they're
gonna
just going to
follow in,
extend the
basically.
extend the dates slightly, and just follow it in and call it Pro League, because apparently that's what they want to do. They want to call conference Pro League now,
Yeah, well,
from what I understand.
Well,
So-
to be fair, when we were at conference, they kind of made us say it was ESL Pro League
Yeah, you
conference.
don't qualify.
Yeah, you
and
don't qualify, you
promote.
advance, wasn't it?
Or, yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
one. There's actually, yeah, you're not to say qualify, you have to say advance, because they still are part of Pro League. It's just the lower stage. But technically speaking, Katowice finishes February 12th. Pro League doesn't start until February 21st, so there's a bit of time there. But quick turnaround, I gotta say.
Yeah.
But I actually like, in a sense, how they've done it with conference just going straight into Pro League, because it means that we don't get situations like FDW again, where the two guys who carried FDW through conference, being Story and Jerks, get poached before FDW can go to Pro League, and then they're playing Pro League with Stadodo, who obviously isn't going to be anywhere near as good as those two guys, or not anymore anyway. So I like that, because it just means like it's actually, and also for the tier 1 guys, you can't really expect them. I think at the same time we were doing conference, there was, I can't remember what was on YouM3, but at the same time we were doing conference, there was some other big S tier tournament that would like poach all of our views, and we would like, get moved off the A channel to like the C channel, like at certain times, because there was some other big tournament.
Yeah. Cool.
But like for the tier 1 guys who are casting it and like analysts and whatever, at least they can actually understand the teams and like know them properly and have the storylines behind it, rather than kind of just having to learn it all a month down the line.
Kind of post-mortem.
Yeah, the difference between what Pro League was when like post player break, like late August kind of time, I can't remember what it was. Yeah, late August maybe, and then conference for us, when were we there, like June? So there's quite a few months like in between. So I think it's a good change, because it means they just follow on. The only thing I hope, and I know this is probably pretty selfish in a sense, is that I hope, since conference is mainly tier 2 teams, they have in a sense mainly tier 2 talent, because it would be quite annoying, because to have kind of
Taking our jobs,
but also in a sense of, because these are our bread and butter. We do Challenger League, we do the Challengers. We know these guys kind of well. Where, and then the tier 1 guys, obviously, they've been that sort of transition between the tier 2 and tier 1 guys.
Yeah, they'll be finding out how to pronounce some of these players' names live on the broadcast.
Yeah,
It's that sort of thing.
I can't remember who it was pronouncing Shuhi's name Sui, and it was jarring me.
It works though. I mean, that
but
works as well.
It's
to
just
be
wrong
fair.
as well, though.
It's wrong, but it's for someone who doesn't know necessarily how to pronounce it. It would be acceptable.
But then they could.
I've
learn,
heard
right?
worse.
Oh, yeah,
I've heard worse. Put it that way. Yeah.
And we've
Anyway.
all been pronouncing Long's name is wrong. It's Lauenex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
And
I feel
apparently exertion, instead, even though he's just doesn't know how to pronounce his own name. So
it's
that's fine.
exertion.
It's exertion. Yeah.
I'm not
like,
saying that.
He wants to capitalize the X or something, even though that's not even how he spelt it himself. So
Brilliant.
I don't.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I don't know.
Fantastic. Well,
knows?
Movistar is the classic one that people get wrong. So
Yeah, movie star.
Yeah, movie star. Yeah, every time. But that basically is that they're probably looking good. I'm assuming that Challenger League 52 will be at NA, because it's two EU, 2 NA, kind of evens out. We had we have IEM Dallas already, but we had
they are kind of competing with themselves a lot here. Like they've put like 2 weeks between their events.
Yeah.
Or maybe like a week sometimes. So
I mean, look at Changeli Jönköping and Atlanta, there isn't like a huge turnaround there. It's kind of, you know, just under 2 weeks, or just over 2 weeks even. And then of course like Katowice and Pro League, and they've still got to sneak in the conference there too. So yeah, like spot on, right? It is tight. And then you've got to assume also Blast have got to do their RMR at some point. Then they've obviously got the major, obviously in May. But, you know, there's not a lot of time for Blast to sneak their stuff in for, obviously, we play doing their team.
Isn't it again, we're going to be in a situation where IEM Dallas is like post-huge event, and it could be a bit terrible. Even
Some
though
of
it's
the
an
NA,
IEM.
I think Stamina did a tweet sort of complaining about it, saying, yeah, like classic ESL, they do like the one big gig in America post, I think it's post-Blast, like spring finals, I think. But at the same time, like, what else are they gonna do, kind of thing? Like, I feel like there's no, you know, it's either that or don't have. Do you want to them to not have it in Dallas? We just won't do it there. We just do it in EU.
Well, the major ends what, 21st, 22nd of May.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really close.
Oh, sorry, not Blast, not spring finals. Yeah, the major.
Yeah,
God damn it.
The major. Yeah.
That's what I meant by I said spring finals. But yes, that is. I mean, that's kind of how things will be seen off there. I think, you know, in the grand scheme of things, it's looking like a pretty stacked calendar. I'm also kind of excited to see more coming through from the Americas, like kind of more gigs there, because Dallas last time was quite good. I think it was the first time we had what's it called, the Impact on LAN as well. So maybe more of that would be quite cool. But I mean, for me, we can now move on to kind of the highlights and lowlights. I think I was going to do some highlights, but I don't really need to touch on that too much in the grand scheme. I was just going to touch on how I think X-Finals have been playing okay, but, you know, we've only, with Snacks coming in, you know, obviously him and Hades relinking back from the Ents days, but we've only really seen kind of one instance of them, and they finished 3rd, 4th at Elisa. But having covered Elisa recently, my lowlights here are pretty standard sort of low light in a sense, because this isn't really new, especially for one side. So I want to start with B&E. B&E got battered by Tyloo in the quarterfinal, 2-0, and they looked rough. But for B&E, generally speaking, they just have this sort of thing about them, where we saw this last time with Antwerp, where they just can't seem, the second they qualify for the major, they just switch off. And we saw them do it last time against Antwerp, where the run up to the major, when they're playing online, you get farmed left, right, and centre. I know you can make these arguments about strat saving or whatever, but, you know, it's some pretty rough showings. And then on the other side, so Sprout also were pretty bad. I mean, Sprout lost to X-Finest, in fact, 2-1, but for the most part, X-Finest were kind of all over them. And it's more, they're kind of my lowlights just because I'm concerned about them going in towards the major if their run-up has been pretty bad. And I also kind of feel a little bit shaky about B&E. Like, for me, I haven't actually even got them going through, just because I do actually feel quite shaky about them.
No, I haven't picked them either. I mean, it's a tough one, isn't it? I mean, Sprat, as you say, I'm just looking at it now. In Elisa, they lost to X-Finest twice. Yeah. They lost to B&E in the battle of the poor online performances, I guess you could say. Yeah. And of course, they struggled at the end of the last Challenger League as well. Mm-hmm. They lost to Entropic, Blue Jays, and B&E again. So the thing is with Sprout is just they're incredibly streaky. Yeah. Especially with their young talent, and if like one particular of the 3 exciting young core that we mentioned has a sort of an off day, sometimes they really struggle to get over the line. And I think that comes with inexperience and with the fact that Refresh hasn't necessarily been IGLing the team for that long as well. It's a tough one. I think they'll be better. I think it's obvious that B&E and Sprout will look better on LAN as what they've been putting all their efforts in toward. But at the same time, I do worry that if they do have a poor performance at the major, that could mean, especially for B&E's sake, we might finally see them, you know, sort of break up a little bit.
They're
because
so momentum heavy.
Because they are, yeah. B&E especially.
Break up. That is sweet. They're a player-run organization that are getting 100% of the sticker money consistently.
Yeah, they're getting bread, bro.
But they're gonna find an organization though at some point.
There's
surely.
a reason. They've been in talks with organizations, and they said they couldn't quite come to an agreement. And I'm sure it was the org wants to take a section of that sticker money, and they don't want that to happen.
Fair enough.
Like,
that is fair.
That's exactly what I'm thinking when I see stuff like that. And maybe it's more logistical than that. But
that you get for stickers, like someone said something like you get like it's like $1 million each or something stupid like that, like for sticker money. Like,
Because so many more people are buying stickers now.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
the
yeah.
scenes are so much bigger, so sticker money will be
I'm sure
even
someone
more
did like $1
significant.
million each, like per person, for example, you get like $1 million each. Which obviously why there was that who was it for Nip? Nork, right? Who had the arguments over stickers because like Nip took all of their sticker money, like they got like the players got none of it.
Right. Yeah.
And then Nip's arguments was, well, we pay you wages, which kind of is a bit scummy, but you know, Nip classic.
I mean, I remember when I was a naive esporter, I didn't even think that people won the prize money for themselves. I thought the org took it or took a percentage, you know, to incentivize both sides because they do pay them a salary.
Yeah.
And then I remember finding out like, no, it's in people's contracts. They usually just get 100% of the prize money. And I'm like,
yeah. I mean,
you do this as a job already, so
living the good life. But I gotta say, for me, the kind of reason why I wanted to initially bring these guys in as my low light, being B&E and Sprout, is just because going in towards the major, I'm really worried about them. I'm worried about B&E because I think they're so momentum heavy, and the momentum at the moment looks grim. I mean, they are seriously struggling. They've been like losing to some pretty poor. I mean, that B&E one was. That was a tough watch. I mean, it was a tough watch, a tough cast as well. You know, it's really tough to get motivated when you're seeing
B&E lost to Paloma.
Oh yeah,
as well.
Who I don't know if you caught any of that game. I saw Alan did a great tweet.
Mike and Alan tweeted about it.
Yeah, everyone's name on Paloma, which is a brutal cast. I gotta say, that is a tough one to cast, and everyone's called Paloma. But yeah, like who are Paloma? How are you losing to them? For B&E, I mean, I get concerned, and then for Sprout, it's more I get concerned of. Because, yeah, okay, they're not in the challenges, but in the Legends and the teams that are coming against Legends, they ain't no walk in the park. Like, I know they've been great in the closed quals, they were great in the open quals, the first teams to make it through, but even still, like, I don't know, worrying, I think, for me, because I feel like, you know, for Sprout, they now won't have the kind of at least the warm-up of challenges to kind of get into their groove. And for B&E, they need to go in warm or they won't make it through.
Yeah, and it's another classic of, like, trying to get good practice ahead of playing the Legends stage. Like, you don't want to be scrimming too many challenger teams because then you might face them later, and they have a feel for how you play as you do them. So yeah, it's a very awkward spot to be in the Legends stage. That's why you have to be very confident in the team, just like working autonomously or kind of divorced from the circuit for a certain amount of time before they can win anything.
That's it. Well, I have one more low light I want to touch on, and this one I don't know. It's quite interesting. It's quite topical for the tier 2 because it's about Deco, right? And I think I've had a lot of people ask me, you know, because Deco with one win has been, in terms of individual performances, you know, stunning. You know, we've seen some stellar performances from him, and statistically speaking as well. I think, if I'm right in saying, he's like one of the best, if not the best, AWPer in tier 2, right? I mean, he has been putting up some monstrous performances. And I remember I did a tweet a long time ago. Saying like, you know, the best up and coming AWPers coming out of tier 2, and it was like Torzi and Deco, and
you probably put Elian in there as well.
Yeah, I did actually put Elian, I think.
Yeah.
But in all fairness, this is before they made their tier 1 jump.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, Elian. But yeah, I mean, people have asked me, and then you kind of see this quote, and obviously it was a clip from his Twitch, but he said. This is obviously Deco on stream. He said, we shook hands only to Force players at the RMR and to Fnatic, but only because they came to us. Even though we shook their hands, I wanted to spit in their fucking faces and leave. So this has been something that I've tried to explain to people when they've spoken to me and asked me like, oh, why doesn't Deco get picked up by big teams? Or like, you know, when we see Manesi get picked up, but well, how come we ever see, you know, Deco get picked up in the CIS scene? You know, he's a great AWPer. Maybe not as good, but, you know, he's got a good skill ceiling. He's a prick, is why. I mean, there's been a long time coming. I've got a friend of mine who's very involved in the CIS scene, and apparently people in the CIS scene just hate Deco. Like the players, they just despise him because he's just a horrible dude. Apparently, really horrible to work with, toxic, like won't listen, just difficult in every single way. Which is why no one's picked him up. Which is why he's, you know, stuck on a team with another toxic person, Flamey.
Well, I mean, I have first-hand casting experience of just seeing in-game body language of Deco play out, right? There was one game the other day, honestly, it was months ago now, we cast a lot, I'm not sure who they were playing against, but they were definitely on the losing side, right? And it was a pretty significant loss. I think it was map 3. It was something like 15-5, maybe they were behind on CT side, and Deco disconnected before the game was over.
Which is the worst
Then
thing.
One of his teammates won the clutch, and then when he came back into the server, he was visibly moving his mouse up and down, staring at the sky in game and knifing the ground, just running toward long, basically on his own with the AWP next round. And that's just, you know, reeks of It's not like you're reading into something. You
Mm.
are seeing it with your own eyes. Like it's
Yeah.
exactly what's happening. He's incredibly frustrated, and he's not playing as a team player as he should.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, if you just look at the replies of the tweet that you linked,
Yeah,
there's
I'm
just some
looking through. Yeah,
there's some funny stuff in there. Like
I
you
just
are not that guy, fam.
I just
That's a
laughed at
pretty
that
good
one.
tweet.
The Naruto one killed me.
And then the picture as well of Deco's it's his Instagram, right? Where he's like one of his statuses is dead inside tick,
Oh,
emo
yes,
tick,
yeah.
goth tick, drain tick. Like just you've got it up on screen now.
Mm-hmm.
Like clearly this guy is, bless him, a little bit
Tilted, antisocial,
there's a
depressed,
wire
sad,
loose.
broken.
Let's say there's a wire loose
Yeah.
for him, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, I just think the thing is, right, so like this young guys who come through and they're toxic. I mean, Simple was no sunshine when he came into the scene, right? He was an absolute monster. He was a monster of a person. I'll never forget who was it against? He was playing FPL with the German player. I think he played for Kwana maybe. And anyway, he was just full flaming him for the entire 30 rounds. Tier 2 guy, I forget his name now, but
Hito?
No, it was
Crystal.
Yeah, maybe Crystal actually.
Crystal was the IGL for Kawana.
No, it wasn't Crystal. Oh, I can't remember who it was. I'll find
I know,
it. I'll find it in a
I know
moment.
exactly the clip you're on
Wait,
about,
I can
but I
find
don't know
it.
who. I
Wait.
don't know the name.
Simple
Yeah.
Flames German guy. FPL.
Oh yes,
It's
we obviously
Aiken.
we talked
Aiken.
about
Aiken?
yes, we talked
That's
about
it.
this at conference. I remember.
Aiken.
Aiken.
First of all,
There you go.
that whole clip is like it's actually kind of hilarious, but it also shows right. Like I mean, they're not always nice people, but I think Deco's also shooting himself in the foot here because we're in a kind of a place and now where because there is no definitive best team in the world at the moment because I think it's probably the most open major we've had in such a long time. People are looking to bring in this the kind of the next best thing and the next hot talent, skill ceiling, whatever to give them the edge. And Deco in terms of tier 2 is one of the better players. He's definitely one of the more notable names. But if you're just a horrible person who's not nice to work with and are saying you want to spit in the faces of like Fnatic, who are like who is not nice on Fnatic? They're like the bunch of sweethearts, the lot of them. Like, come on, of all teams, if it was G2, fair enough, give him a swing. But like, or like if it was Astralis, I'd join in. But like, I mean, it's, for Fnatic, like Messi, probably the nicest guy in CS:GO. You want to spit in his face?
To be fair to him, like even if you like if you took this like out of context, like I have no idea what like tone he uses and like how the words come across in the native language.
Yeah.
But if you just took the interpretation as is on paper, I think that's a standard competitor's mindset. Like Fnatic did eliminate them from the tournament, and you can imagine having some level of animosity to the people that beat you. Whether or not I don't think he would act on it. Probably not if he's checking all those boxes on his Instagram, but it's I do think that you definitely do put yourself in a position where like you were in a race to be the top AWPer in the CIS region between him and Elian, and he has won the race, yet nobody is touching him still, and that's it's just sad. It is disappointing, and it's not like he's like a super. I mean, he's a young enough guy. He's 21, but he's not like 18 where people would excuse that behavior a little bit more when you're kind of a superstar already. So
no,
people is what they need.
Yeah, I'm on board with that. I'm on board with it being lost in translation a little bit as well. To say like, I mean, obviously, I completely agree with you, Meat. You're going to have animosity to a team that has ruined your career dream of getting stickers and actually making a major. Like, I understand it, but you have to look at it from the other side and say this is clearly a very, I don't know, as I say, without being too mean, a bit of a messed up young kid, really. He's 21, if he wants to make it somewhere, maybe he needs to grow up a little bit if he's to actually leave one win and move on.
Yeah, I mean, look at his stats for the last kind of few months. 1.23 rating Deco holds. I mean, pretty substantial is probably the better way to put it. I mean, this one win side, they have sort of individuals who can really like make a difference, but a few of them have got some pretty rough personalities. Is probably the one way to put it. Obviously flamey, flame in the name, flame in the game. And I think I've heard some things about Lollipop being not the nicest person either. So hey ho. But I mean, in the grand scale, I think Deco, who is probably the brightest star, is sort of shooting himself in the foot. And for someone who likes and watches a lot of the tier 2 scene, it is kind of tough to see that because you know, it seems like a bit of a shining light. It is kind of, you know, shooting himself in the foot and maybe hindering his career. But hey ho, we'll kind of move kind of swiftly on towards your segment, Trav. Now you got a little video for us.
I do.
Do you want me to
I'll
play
explain
the video
it
first, or do you want to explain first?
I'll give it a little intro to the video. So
Go on.
this Rio's being built up to be probably the biggest Counter-Strike event of all time and one of the most incredible experiences ever. So I wanted to just have a little conversation about, which we will get onto, of course, the talent lineup, who I think is pretty obvious is one of the best of all time as well, especially commentary-wise. And of course, production as well. And just want to have a quick look back at this classic intro to E-League Atlanta in 2017, which obviously everyone knows that E-League had one of the best productions in Counter-Strike. So let's have a little bit of a throwback.
Right.
This little watch.
I'll get this one up right. I'll hit play. 1 minute 23 of beautifulness. Get Metallica for it as well.
Winning a major title is nothing bigger.
I don't know how much it takes. How much they have to sell out to get these guys.
That's ridiculous. This is crazy. There goes one pop a second, and he's gonna go for third, and it's down. That is absurd. What's going on? Chaos. Going to wreck the entire team. And an incredible performance.
Doesn't matter whether you like kind of that kind of music or not. I mean, what a banger. Personally, I'm a fan of it. Metallica, very, very good song. But
the thing about that is as well is that like you still have that's still like the default HUD era. No organization, no TO has really like messed with a custom HUD yet. You still had like so many old-fashioned things in general when it came to CS production. But everyone just looks at this and goes, "Oh, it was so amazing." I mean, that just sort of begs the question. I want you guys to sort of give me an answer. If you were to remember a major from history and you would say, okay, production, talent-wise, which I believe we'll have a little bit of a look at the talent graphic as well, what would you say was the peak? Because I think talent-wise, for me, I'm going to pick MLG Columbus as one of the best ever, I think, talent-wise. And I think this current Rio...
I have a look.
I think Rio is contending that, because obviously we've got, I think it's probably the S-tier commentary lineup, I think, for Rio. But MLG Columbus has certainly been fantastic, and I think as I've shown you, obviously with this little throwback, I think E-League that era had some of the best production in all of Counter-Strike, and of course with Blast coming up as well, everyone knows that they're going to be putting out all the stops production-wise for that. So I really think it sort of leads us into what could be an insane time for Counter-Strike talent and production.
Yeah, I mean, Yumi, feel free to kind of throw out yours. I'm going to look through now. I'm kind of, I mean, for me, I'll be perfectly honest. Like, I started watching CS. My first major was that I watched, at least some of, was the Face It London major. I mean, that's how I kind of got involved in CS. And the only reason I actually watched it was not because of like my love and interest for CS by any means. It was just because my mate was there and I said I'd try and find him in the crowd. And then I got hooked on competitive CSGO because how good it was. And then from Katowice on, from like just after that, I was like fully invested. But yeah, I mean, I remember obviously Boston being like obviously is one of the more notable ones. Anything before that for me is a bit of a blur because it's just kind of before my time. So I've watched it with.
It's also era based. Like
exactly.
Talent especially is very era based. It's like the eras of Formula One. Like some people maybe watching will get what I mean. Like you can't necessarily compare the best driver of one era to the best driver of another. And I think talent for some area can't necessarily be compared to talent of a current era. But I'll let Yumi give us his thoughts on that one now.
I would say maybe Atlanta is very similar in that regard. I think there's like one pairing out of the Boston major that's maybe switched up. I think that was Henry and Sato instead. Just kind of like skimming through as well, because I won't lie, like I wasn't exactly like hypercritical of broadcast talent. I wasn't it myself, so I didn't know like what I was really looking at. There were a lot of names that you wanted to see there, and it was all the premier duos. And yeah, I think you're right. Like at the moment, with the place we are at in top Counter-Strike right now in commentary, yeah, we have basically all of the commentators you would want to see at this upcoming Rio event hired for it.
Yeah,
They do have a lot of commentators and a lot of analysts though, and so it's, I think the thing that might determine how good certain stages are is actually just going to be who's on which games and who's on which desks.
Yeah.
But that's all like a scheduling logistics side of things that I'm sure ESL will figure out.
Yeah, I mean, I've got the talent lineup now, of course, for the upcoming major. As you mentioned, is huge. I think the first one for me, the most important thing about, I actually was kind of saying this, what makes or breaks the majors when the Machine takes part. Because obviously Machine, he's been away for quite a while. He had his own kind of personal issues. Thankfully, they're all sorted, or hopefully anyway. He's out in Rio now, so we know it's at least happening. But like for me, I thought like, if he isn't there, I just don't like. He for me is the best in terms of like play-by-plays. Like in my personal opinion, I don't think. Well, I think him and Sponge are as a duo just just perfect. I don't really think anyone can kind of beat them. Even to the argument where in terms of as a duo, maybe even. I mean, obviously, I think we're maybe a bit biased there, but potentially the best in all of esports. Like they're so notorious, they're so notable, they're so good at what they do, and like the kind of the moments they have as individuals are huge. So, guys, those two, obviously being UK, Hugo and Harry, we love to see those guys. Moses Sado as well, which obviously means that now Anders has to do, because obviously with the kind of that trio now, and you know Semler's no longer involved, means that Anders is kind of like the third wheel in a way, which is kind of unfortunate, but hey, I mean, I don't actually know what his architect thing is going to be. It's something to do with
Skybox stuff, yeah, which is cool. I like the fact they're involving him, but yeah, I think also one thing about CS duos in general, I think, is that there's something for everyone. Like if you want like the huge hype moments with the sort of the calmness maybe of like Launders in the background, that duo of Scrawny and Launders is unbelievable. Hugo and Harry bring the fun. They bring the extra bits and pieces that you wouldn't think of necessarily when it comes to commentary, which raise the broadcast level, and people love them for that. Machine and Sponge are perfect for every single scenario in Counter-Strike as well. And Moses, and I'm of the opinion still that Moses is probably the best commentator, full stop, for Counter-Strike. I think, for me, almost ever, because he can do play-by-play incredibly. He can do color incredibly. He has all the knowledge in the world. He has all the experience in the world. I think pairing him with someone like Sado was obviously, it was Moses and Anders for a while, but I think that pairing is obviously also really good because people love Sado's personality as well.
Yeah, I'll jump in on this, even though it might, like, first off, I think us publishing our thoughts on other talent is kind of a little cringe, to be honest. Like, we're in the same space, like, congratulations, we have heroes. I will say, I do agree, like, I think Scrawny is actually probably the most mechanically skilled play-by-play caster in the space currently. He's been, every time I listen to his commentary, I'm at awe of what of the way he presents a play-by-play scenario and makes it like he can make it emotional but while exciting at the same time. I think he hits that peak that nobody else quite can. Machine Sponge, I agree, they're like the most versatile duo out of the lot of them. But yeah, in terms of sort of like the best commentator in the space, just in terms of actual versatility, yeah, I can agree with that. Moses probably has it the most hammered down. Like there was a period, especially for like probably been for the last 4 years, people have said like you add play-by-play caster and Moses together and instantly improve them as a duo, or like improve that commentator themselves. So
yeah, I agree with what you say as well, because I mean it is, as you say, I wouldn't say it's necessarily cringe, but I get your point that we're literally talking about oh my god, Hugo, Harry followed me on Twitter, stuff like that. Like it's stupid, it's absolutely dumb as fuck, right? But realistically, you make a good point. They're all our heroes for a reason. We want to one day, maybe in the future, emulate them and do something to the level that we can, which is it's completely understandable. But yeah, go ahead.
And sorry, I'll just add in, like, Harry and Hugo have also been moving it slightly away, I think, from just, like, their sort of more comedic, more fun approach.
No, I agree.
Because they're getting bigger games, they're trying to show that other level to them because they also want to be as dynamic and as diverse as somebody like Machine and Sponge that get, a large part of the calendar.
Just one line that, immediately that I can just think of that comes to mind is just previous major, the FaZe Spirit game. How Hugo and Harry ended that Dust 2 game. After all the clutches that Magic's did, they're stuck in my memory for so long. I watched that clip back of Carrigan getting the knife kill to finish off the series,
Mm.
and it was just the perfect combination of commentary and crowd noise in the background,
Yeah.
and the knife to finish it off was just glorious. And I always go back to that when I think about Hugo and Harry, and think that their ceiling is unbelievable when it comes to that. But yeah, anyway,
Of course,
we've made our points about this now. So
yeah, guys. Just like the last thing in terms of the kind of the new additions. Obviously, Veracity coming on as Descos. We've all worked with. It's good to see kind of the new step, I guess. You know, some of the tier 2 guys coming through. One thing I do want to say, obviously, with Anders doing Skybox, obviously, you know, doing his thing. Skybox is like it's his, right? If I'm right in saying, or like he has a very active involvement in it.
Yeah.
One thing I do hope is that they let Mahone have a go at it, because that's Mahone's bread and butter, like telestrator bits. Like we saw what he does with Blast. Obviously, you know, Mahone coming as an analyst. I love some of the stuff Mahone does. I like his YouTube videos a lot. I mean, these guys are such a smart dude. I hope he gets to go to kind of do the architect things. That whatever. I'm assuming it's just like a telestrator segment, is my assumption. I don't actually know how it's going to work. I don't think anyone really does.
Yeah,
yet.
but it's a little bit of a surprise, I feel like.
Yeah,
It's a secret surprise as to how they're going to utilize them, I think.
I hope
but,
Mahone gets to go on it if it is some sort of telestrator thing. Alan as well, of course, we all know him. It's good to see kind of the tier 2 representatives. And credit to as well. I mean, this guy has grafted the last few years. He's been on like
ever
more or
since he
less,
wasn't endpoint coach anymore. He
Yeah,
just went hard at it, didn't he?
literally
Yeah.
every single challenger, if I'm right in saying. He's on
Yeah.
everyone for this last year. And conference
And now
as well.
he has another challenger to do as well, so that's crazy.
What, another challenger?
Yeah, the challenger stage of the major.
Oh, right. That one right over me there. But, no, yeah, it's good to see some kind of fresh faces alongside the stacked, and arguably as well, probably the most stacked talent lineup maybe we've ever seen. It's definitely up there.
Yeah,
sure.
It's gonna be cool. I think it is quite funny, like the parallel, because I think Alan and Mahone have kind of similar stories in terms of like the competitive or the, I guess, Counter-Strike careers.
Yeah.
I guess Mahone was actually competed at one point, and Alan I don't think did, but
Yeah,
at
I
least
think so.
not to like above a main level or something. But Mahone has just like skyrocketed crazy amounts because of his
Nip
work with
analyst
Blast and ESL, and
yeah.
it's cool to see.
He's he's kind of like, you know, seriously farmed from
His Nip analyst.
yeah,
days
Nip analyst
into
days.
broadcast.
He sort of took off. I'm gonna see. We can, you know, there's talent, but we can move on to what is, of course, the major itself. I think the best way to see it off is kind of talk about challenger stage. That's all we've got to work with for now. We'll start off with you, Trav, and your picks. We've got them
yes.
up.
Okay.
I don't know if you need time to refresh them, but if you've got them
I'll grab them quickly.
locked
no
and loaded.
worries.
I've got yours up for you. Yumi, I've got yours as well, and then I've got mine in both formats because I made two versions of this. But
One is one with the major calculator, one is with not.
no,
with an
I
actual
actually still haven't used the major calculator. I've been pure gut feeling it the whole way. But I mean,
Yeah,
Trav,
I've
feel
been
free
gut
to
feeling it
kickstart
too.
us.
So
yeah.
I made a video. I put a video up on Twitter because if you're not like a Twitter, like if you're not like verified or something, you have like a 2-minute 20-second limit on Twitter video. So I put a video up on Twitter which was a very quick rundown.
Yeah.
I picked Big 3-0 because even if Big have issues, they seem to somehow make it through into the next edge of the major. But I obviously don't think, especially with Sin in roles that he's uncomfortable with, I think there's a real good chance that they don't make it at all. So I just put them 3-0 as a risky pick. Outsiders are going 2-3 or 3-2, whatever happens. That's just the way they work. Mals, even though they're young, I think will still make it. I think Fnatic have the Roy and Nikorodos factor. They always make the next edge of the major. I think they'll be fine. OG, and I'm very 50-50 about, and I'm worried that maybe an EG, could make it genuinely because EG have a very good seed. And they have, I think, might have some of the easier games, EG,
Yes, yeah.
in this major. So I'm worried about EG sort of trumping that. I think Cloud9 and Vitality, even I'm a bit worried about Vitality, I think a bit more of a nailed on, even though, of course, you've got to consider the fact that Cloud9, of course, playing in front of a crowd, and even in the Challenger stage as well. That's something you have to consider. But I think the two you have to have nailed are Vitality and Cloud9.
Yeah.
Furia, iffy, but if they don't make it, it would be an absolute nightmare. I just don't see a world in which they don't.
Yeah.
And as for the teams that Greyhound 03, I think goes without saying, but Aussies always let you down. IHC always will get a map. IHC always get a map, and I know Yumi agrees with me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think just to bring up the teams that I haven't chosen, I would say Zero Nation, I think, might do better than Imperial, in my opinion, genuinely. Imperial have the scare factor of being sort of the gatekeepers of the new talent coming through. But I think Zero Nation have shown that they can beat them and might even do better and might even squeak through. I don't know. Game Legion have the unknown factor, which they could do well. 9Z have the unknown factor, but of course are very young. And I think for me that is a bit of a toss up. OG, 9Z, Zero Nation, EG, that group of four is so. If anyone can get their scores in the challenger stage, absolutely spot on. You're an absolute genius. And as we've all discussed earlier, B&E are also a pretty big 50-50 as well. So yeah, that's my pick. They're safe, I guess you could say. There isn't anything too wild in there.
Are you confident
But
in the 5?
I think my 5 would be. I honestly think Greyhound going to go 0-3 again.
Yeah.
My 5 are going to be Greyhound, Cloud9 Vitality, Furia Outsiders, and one of the other 3 that I picked, Mao's Fnatic OG, I think.
Oh, nice. Or Yumi, I mean, feel free to follow us up.
Mine actually aren't that different. So I've got Imperial 3-0 because if
Hell yeah.
By any account, first off, I don't know that this will actually happen, but I'm playing that classic numbers game. If I can't afford to put like a Cloud9 or a Vitality or something in there, and it not go through.
Yeah,
3-1.
I'm so not confident in the rest of this stage.
For sure.
That it doesn't make sense. So I've Imperial there, and if they make it through, I got it right, but just I got the score wrong. And yeah, I have Greyhound 0-3, same as you. I do think IHC will probably get a map win, but I also think they are probably in the worst form that I've seen them in several months currently. IHC are actually a decent 0-3 candidate even for me. I have OG. Kind of similar concerns I have as you do, Trav. Just like it's kind of a mixed bag, and I don't really know what to expect. But I do have faith that these guys have enough star power, vitality. Sure, Spinks is a little overrated, but at least this team is good enough to make it to the legend stage, in my opinion.
Sure.
Cloud9, I don't think they'll have any issues, even in front of a crowd here. I think their main issue is when they start to think, oh, we're gonna win the next stage, or we might win this tournament. Now, when they start putting that in their head, they start crumbling. Outsiders also another comfortable pick. Again, 3-2 comfort choice. Furia, I think, are
right?
Yeah. And I think Furia are very much in the same boat as Cloud9 because they just crumble in playoffs and just can never take that next step. And then my more fringe picks, and this is maybe my international squad bias, and in fact, I'd lump OG in here as well. I have Gamer Legion and Fnatic. Because I like both of these squads. I think they've got a lot of potential. I think that the Gamer Legion lack of information, again, will prove to be in their benefit. As much as you might have that argument for like someone like 9Z as well, I just don't think they're of the same caliber, unfortunately. So
fair enough.
Yeah, those are my selections.
I did 2 basically. I'll talk just so
cop out. I fence sitter.
That way one of them's guaranteed to be right.
No. So I did one, and I did a YouTube video, released it, whatever. And then I had like a premonition in the evening, and I was just like, there is no fucking way Imperial are going 3-0. Like, there's just no chance. Like, so I was like, it wasn't even that I wanted to get Imperial 3-0 right. It was just, I don't believe. So I started off with Imperial 3-0, Greyhound 0-3, standard. Vitality, Cloud9, Miles, Outsiders, Fnatic, Big, and Gamer Legion. And so originally, like, my thought process was that OG at the moment, they're so hit and miss. I was saying this on Twitter. I think they're either, they come into like certain games and tournaments as like the best team there and like untouchable. Like Dexter's on like this lightning form. He's just red hot. You can't touch him. So good. They're unstoppable. Flames finds this kind of new level and they become this god squad. But then other times, like we saw in Melbourne, where they're just getting pulled apart by like quote unquote no names. Wings Up farmed them, and it wasn't even that it was a fluke. Like that entire tournament, they were bad. They played in CCT as well in playoffs and didn't win that when they were
lost the pause, I think.
Yeah, well and far, probably one of the biggest names there. And they lost to four as it was. So it was like you kind of for me, I got concerned about this side. So I originally put them in, but my official ones I locked in is so. I went for OG going 3-0. Now, this is more the fact that because I don't think... I actually think they're going to go 3-0. But I wanted to lock in the 5 picks. So Greyhound 0-3 seems to just write itself, to be perfectly honest. Vitality, Cloud9, shoe-ins. Outsiders, for me, also kind of feel like a shoe-in. And the form that Mousesports have at the moment, I feel like they're looking okay. That I can maybe say, at the very least got like 3-2. Was kind of my thought process. Same with a Fnatic. And then the other two for Big and Furia, that's where they concern me. So originally, I think I didn't have Furia going through. I did have Big going through, but I swapped Game Leader and Furia. Just because I think when I looked through the close qualifiers, as much as I love Shuhei, I think he's a really great player, like him as a person, I think they found a lot of their success Game Leader as a roster when Acor was farming. And when Acor doesn't farm, they were very quiet. And it worries me that maybe if they go towards, the major and then they start slow, for example, and they can't quite find their form, then I get worried. In all fairness, they did just play second and, qualify for Espu for Elisa. So, I mean, they're still looking great as a roster online. But that was my only concern. And it's kind of more a bit of a nostalgia in a sense, I guess you could say. Or like maybe a want for just a Brazilian team to make it through because of the storyline that would have having a Furia in the Legend stage. At least one Brazilian team making it through. Because for me, I feel like Zero Nation don't really have too much of a chance. Imperial, super hit and miss. Like, I either feel like they make it dominantly or they just don't make it at all. Like, they go at 1 and 3. EG, while they were sick in their close quals, the RMRs, I don't have faith in that project still, and if I'm proved wrong, but I still don't have faith in them at the moment.
They could lose to IHC. They could 100%
genuinely.
lose to IHC. The
Genuinely.
IHC have the talent on their team that can just randomly blow someone out the water, even without too much tactics, And a team like OG, that could happen to them.
I
no
believe
doubt.
in Score. My goat Score. He'd never let him down. I then for B&E, like that recent form for me, kind of what I mentioned, my low light is the massive concerning factor where I'm saying like, I don't know, I'm not really confident in B&E. Like into Antwerp, I felt quite confident with them, but this time I don't. I'm pretty concerned about them. 9Z or 9Z, like I actually like this team. I just think they're really young and they're so new that it's very hard to confidently be like, oh yeah, they'll be fine. Zero Nation. I didn't even think they were going to make it here, so credit to them. And they actually made it in some pretty electric form through the RMR, but I don't think they can keep it up. My initial thoughts that they can't keep it up. And then IHC, I feel like they can pick up one win. And genuinely, like you said, right, I think EG, there's actually a real possibility. Or in a worst case scenario, last time out in Antwerp, I nearly got already not making 5 picks in the Challenger stage at Antwerp because I put IHC going 03 and then they beat Greyhound. So I've now realised my mistakes and never believed in the Aussies.
And IHC beat Greyhound again in the Road to Rio. In this particular Road to Rio, they beat them again.
So just never believe in the Aussies. I've kind of learnt my lesson. As much as I wanted to, never believe in the Aussies.
Yeah.
So that's mine. I feel like, for me, I've gone say, I mean, I've got 2 out of 3 diamond coins every time I've done it. And the only time I got the gold was at Antwerp because I put Na'Vi to beat FaZe in the final. I got everything else more or less spot on.
I was 1 pick away from Diamond because of a Spirit not picking Spirit to win 1 game is the reason that I missed out on Diamond.
Yeah. I was perfect until the final, and then I put Na'Vi. Just I thought Simple would find some god form, and then he was just a bot. So,
I'm actually a gold coin enjoyer, so I'm collecting all of them. I'm doing it on purpose. I'll have you know.
But I think, to be fair though, I think this is going to be, of all the majors, probably the hardest one, especially in towards that final stage. Jesus Christ.
I don't know, man. I thought the Star Ladder major was pretty bad. That was a pretty difficult major to call. Star Ladder Berlin major where a Vanguard and it's a Vanguard Astralis in the final. Yeah. I'm pretty sure most people have that one, not Diamond as well. So
that's actually true. No, I didn't expect Vanguard to make it. I mean, to be fair, what a quick game that was. Vanguard Astralis, lovely little 3-0. Just saw that one off really comfortably. But no, I think for me this feels like one of the harder ones, especially because Stockholm. I think going into that one, Na'Vi seemed like the only team who could even compete. To be perfectly honest, for Antwerp, it seemed like there was only really 2. To be perfectly honest, where it was it was either FaZe or Na'Vi, and I think most people who got gold, apart from a couple of slip ups like Trav, most people got gold. And I went for the same route as me, where I was went for a Na'Vi over FaZe. But this one, I don't know. When it gets to that final stage, that one's gonna be pretty brutal to kind of go through. But who knows? It's probably the best way to do it. I think what we can say is we're more or less done and dusted, though, lads. That was major special, but it's not all of our content done for the major. For those who didn't know, we're gonna be doing a watch party for more or less nearly every single day of the major if we can. At least one of us involved. We're going to be doing a watch party on well, a bunch of different channels, but you know, the tweet we originally did was just myself, Trav and Paladin. I'm sure other people are streaming. We've got a decently big group of us, I gotta say. Actually, I think it's somewhere just shy of 15. I'll get up the little tweet. Here we go. We got this lovely little graphic here. But yeah, we're gonna be kickstarting things on the 31st. Doing streams on the channels you see here: Paladin, Trav, Kai. Yumi will be joining us alongside a flurry of other guests who are included in the suite. We got
Hello, talent.
There we go. Of course, we got Ronnie, who's our graphics guy. Does all these lovely graphics for us. So one of our good mates. We got Brandon, B-Dog, The Mighty, Cody Cost, Am Pigeon, Scriv, Zerna, Yumi, and Tyler. And actually, Tyler's actually no longer going to be involved because he got the very last minute call up to go out towards to Rio, as he's going to be running replays for the A stream. So.
That's cool.
I didn't even know he did replays. I just always thought he was just a caster. So fair play to him. But he dropped me a message saying like, "Oh yeah, by the way, I can't go." And I was like, "Oh, why, mate?" It's like, "Yeah, I'm going to the airport. I'm flying to Rio now." I was like, "What?" So he got a very last minute call up to do replays.
That's cool. I like that. I
so,
like
yeah.
when people who like have a role they're known for can suddenly pop up and do something that you don't necessarily know them for. You know,
There's a lot
I
of
mean,
people that get good at wearing different hats.
I know, and especially in this scene, exactly. Yeah.
And I kind of said as
Pop
well,
up.
I was like, "Oh, nice. So you do like the German stream?" Because like he does a lot of the tier 1 stuff in German. I was like, no, replays. So like this guy is just a jack of all trades.
He's very talented.
Yeah, very
talented. Yeah.
Also,
there's football like
he's
German
Bayern
football.
Munich's commentator. Like he's their
There you
English commentator for Bayern Munich. I mean, what a life that is.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're gonna be live from probably all three of us around sort of 1 p.m. UK time, which is an hour before the games go live.
Yeah. In
roughly.
my case, I'm gonna be doing the whole first day, and I've already picked the matches. I think it's like 9Z Gamer Legion. We'll double check. I'm gonna be doing 9Z Gamer Legion, BNE 00 Nation, Big Furia, Vitality Imperial. Oh no, not Vitality Imperial. Sorry. Then Cloud9 Fnatic, and I'm gonna be on the first day, and of course, then the second round of BO1s follows directly after that. So I'll just be on basically from 2 p.m. UK time to like what's it gonna be there? Maybe even midnight UK time. So I'll probably be on all day. But for the first and second, annoyingly, not annoyingly because it's fun, but at the same time, I'm going to have an official cast with Mike for ECL Season 43, literally at the time the major's going on. I'm going to be on ESL CSGO D doing a Challenger League game while the major's going on. I'm going to have 7 viewers, 100%.
But
it's a shame.
Yeah, I mean, same thing for me on the first and second. I'll be doing Challenger League Asia at the same time as the major, so I'm gonna have -3 viewers. So
you guys made the mistake of putting yourself down for availability days when the major is on.
Yeah.
You're just supposed to be like, oh well, you know, I've got a thing that I'm watching the major. I want to watch Counter. I love Counter Strike. What do you want?
But in all fairness, I actually really enjoy casting Asia because it's just so different.
It's fun.
It's so funny.
It's genuinely fun.
It's actually like, especially when you get like, I know it's kind of mean to say, but when you get like a rare atom versus like the Mongols, where it's like top versus bottom, or like rare atom versus Araft, they're just gonna like farm them. So they always quite good. But I think, if I'm right in saying, so anyway, it starts season 43, so it should be some pretty decent games. I'm hoping for like a Lin Vision or Rare Atom to kickstart things.
Yeah, we've already caught a couple. I think they've done
have they?
First 2 days
There
of
we
Asia
go.
already.
Yeah.
So we've already had some Lin action and shit. So.
I'm hoping we get some of the bangers of them. But yeah, of course, if you want to take your eyes, if you want to break from the major, you can catch me in Draft doing Challenger League.
Exactly. Let me just check what my matches actually are, because now I'm curious. So I'm going to be doing, I think, Sangal versus Sinners, and I think Sangal are a fun team to watch. I think that's actually like they've been doing really well lately. And then on the second, it's Saw versus X-Finest, who we were just speaking about earlier, having added snacks. So like it's relatively good games, but obviously, if you watch the major instead, I would not blame you in the slightest. In fact, you should.
Whatever.
Don't even watch me.
Just even real fans of us. That's crazy.
Not even, damn. I see how it is, boys. Not even real fans. I want to see if I can even find out who I'm casting. If there's like a date thing, I don't even know how to use this season 43 overview sheet. But
I mean, all I did was look at HLTV and look at the times I was given. Really,
I don't think
what streams
Asia's
be on.
even on HLTV.
Yeah, it's not on HLTV.
Oh, Asia's not on there. Yeah, okay, but still, yeah, it's gonna genuinely be fun. But yeah, as you say, thankfully, I think these are the only 2 games, only 2 days I have that's during a major. I think the next series I'll have will be like mid-November. just after the major is actually completely finished. So that's something at least. So
Actually, do I?
only
I
2
I
days.
actually might have another one.
I'm
I
casting
can't
with
lie.
Mike. I haven't casted with Mike before either, and I'm really looking forward to that. That should be fun.
That actually should be quite fun. Oh wait, no. I think I might be doing. Wait, is there an EUB stream? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm doing EU. Never mind.
Yeah, there is a UB stream.
I'm doing EU.
Yeah.
So I'm doing Heat versus K23 on the first, and on the second, I'm doing Entropic Ecstatic.
It's a good game.
Should be quite fun, actually, yeah. So they're my 2 games. I was looking
ESL
at Asia, man.
CSGO D and E probably going to be
D&E.
utilized pretty hard.
D&E.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll
What do you
find
mean?
our
They're
faces
having.
there.
I mean, for this challenger stage, they're definitely at least having a B stream and maybe even a C stream. I don't know. So maybe, yeah. I guess it would be D&E. Yeah.
D&E,
but
the goats. They're back.
I just feel like they don't utilize the forbidden F channel too often.
CSGO F for the goats. But
Oh, dear.
yeah, if you want to go and check them out, I'll have the links to our Twitches below. But if you're watching this around the time of the major's on now, come swing by. We probably should be streaming apart from probably the 1st and 2nd, and I am doing Asia on the 8th and 9th. So my stream will be starting a bit late. But aside from that, we should all be pretty much live. So swing by to kind of one of us 3, and you'll see essentially our
Yeah,
streams
but
live.
at least doing
not-
the first
not me,
day.
like Paladin, but you know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll be here. You'll be here though. You'll be with us. But yeah, yeah, at least I'm happy I was at least able to be available for the first day, because I think
Same.
being able to co-stream the first day, not co-stream, just stream the GoTV. Co-stream is slightly different.
Yeah.
But yeah, just stream the GoTV on the first day. I'm really looking forward to that. Should be a lot of fun, especially with various
Yeah.
guests on. So yeah,
Exactly.
looking forward to
A bit of a good way to watch it as well with the boys. I'm going tomorrow for a snack run because it needs to be done. I'm going to be parked up here for like, I mean, it's long, right? It's like 10 hours, like the first day. So,
Yeah.
I'm going to need sustenance. But that's
Deserved.
exactly.
I
But
can't
boys,
wait for the GoTVs to just not work like
Oh,
most
I know,
of the
right?
first days seem
God,
to be. So.
But they
Yeah.
worked very cleanly for the RMR, so I'm hopeful.
yeah,
They
hopefully.
worked very cleanly.
I think though with the open quals, because they've got like 7,000 servers or something running at once.
But
like,
the
it's
RMR in general, though, just
Yes,
the
exactly,
RMR.
yeah, the RMR.
Oh, I see your point. Sorry, my bad. Yeah.
Yeah,
Just
like-
the RMR in general. I had like the ASL's like own specific number, GoTV link on there, like playcast number, which is exactly how it should be. Hopefully it will work fine.
Yeah, we do. But ladies and gentlemen, that does sum up the episode. I think are we on episode 5 now? I think we are. Maybe episode 5. I don't know. I don't really know. At this point, it's
You
all
lose
blending
track
into one.
easily.
But thank you for joining us. It's been a pleasure. Slightly different episode, of course. We'll be back probably after the major, I'm assuming. I don't think we'll do a mid-major episode unless we really feel spicy going into the champion stage. But we'll probably do a post major episode at some point right after, so we can discuss everything.
Can I just add before we
Yeah.
close here? It's been I appreciate you guys bringing me on for your new podcast, 3 Talent. Instead, so.
3 talent.
Yeah, I mean, I got to say, by the way, just a little side note to finish off. Props are actually for coming on, by the way, because it was very short notice.
Very
Paladin only notified us just earlier
Yeah,
that
I
you couldn't make it
appreciate
this evening. So you were. I saw you online on Steam, and I was like, 100%. You should join us.
Exactly. I appreciate
give you a shot.
You've-
I'm a talker.
Yeah, it was either that or we don't do the podcast. So I feel like we should have an episode out before the major. So
Yes.
yeah, ladies and gentlemen, of course, this is going out on the 30th tomorrow for us. But if you're watching this, go and check the links below for Twitch. We'll be live the day after. I'll probably be live from about 1 p.m. UK time, probably. I'll start off with a good amount of waffling and chat and shit and all the classics. So, swing by. We'll show a decent group of us as well, so should be good fun. But swing by to all of our Twitches and all the good stuff. And thank you again for coming by. Thank you again for watching, subscribing, liking, all of the rest. Check out YouM3's social links as well, because he does an absolute solid by swinging out. So his stuff's below. Obviously, you can see it at below his head as well, but all below the stream, the bio. Fucking.
We're ending
Yeah.
at a perfect time because the fireworks have started, so you wouldn't be able to hear a thing anyway.
There we go.
So,
there we go.
perfect.
Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. See you all soon. Thank you for coming by, and peace out.